Suddenly the internet's not working again. I just made a video about 40 minutes ago and said the internet doesn't work. I was trying to do this and screen record it, and in that screen recording it just suddenly started working. So the internet at the unit doesn't work. At about 8:50 this morning it stopped working, and at 8:30 last night it started working after getting here yesterday and then writing on Facebook. It doesn't work. The internet does not work. I can't go on the internet at my unit. There's no internet here during the day, and I've always never had any internet here. So I went to go make a screen recording of that not working. Suddenly, in the last screen recording, about 40 minutes ago, after it not working since 8:50, it's just started working in the last screen recording. And I was like, that's even more creepy because it does not work. I can't do anything on the internet. And then it just started working in the last screen recording. Now I can't even do a Google search. Again, as was the last recording, as I was trying to show. The internet doesn't work all the way from about 9 a.m. in the morning. It will not work all day. And then it starts working at about 8:30. And that's why I was up last night until about 1 o'clock on the internet, because I had no internet. It was just like this all day. I put it in flight mode because there was no point in using the internet. And now look, I've gone straight out to screen recording and trying to go on the internet and see now. Facebook is working, partly. Not working. Facebook's not working. That was just saved data that it was continuing to work. Facebook doesn't work. I can't do a simple Google search. I can't use the internet at all. At my unit from 9 a.m. and then it starts working at about 9 p.m. There are phone jammers. The neighbour underneath me has a satellite on the roof that they use. The house next door that has the semi-trailers, they have a satellite on their roof. Those people are in the deep state. The housing manager, brother-in-law, Jason, used to live across the road, and they used to scream all hours a day. They'd yell out Charlie ridiculously about over 200 times every single day, and they'd just stand there and chuckle, fake laugh. This is what they do. They block the internet so that you cannot get communication to the outside world. And suddenly, you watch my last screen recording, I was saying the exact same thing. And I screen recorded it because the internet is doing this. And then suddenly, in my last video, after an hour of this, the last screen recording will show you, if you see that, here, I'm using my internet at my unit. I noticed at 8:50 something, the internet just suddenly stopped working. Same as last night, at about 8:30 p.m. last night, the internet just started working perfectly. I've been using it perfectly all morning. I was up at like 5 or 6. I've been using the internet. But for the last hour, the internet has just been terrible. I can't even do a Google search to find the phone number of my company. So, my phone company may communicate. And I've been trying to do this for... there we go, it worked perfectly. See that? That's my last screen recording. I've been trying to do it. I did that. Over 5, I don't know. There, it was 9. No, that's the time now. I made the recording. 9:40. No, that was the time an hour ago. 9:59. No, it was 10 o'clock. Now it's, like I said, 40 minutes later. I couldn't get a search on. I I was unable to use the internet for 10 minutes there. And now I'm still here. Can't use the internet now in this screen recording, as I was trying to show an hour ago. Now suddenly in the screen recording, after you've just seen it for 5 minutes not working, still won't load. There is phone jammers here. You know who uses phone jammers? The deep state. Now suddenly it's working. You've seen it for 5 minutes. I've been trying to access that for 5 minutes. Suddenly in the screen recording it works. You know what happened right before that? Before the internet went out? The neighbours at the back started coming, standing right outside my back door. 2 females. Rah-dee rah rah rah. And then what happened? The internet started blackening out. And also on that there's more information that I need to share about Xavier Magro, who is on my security camera app, and I'm going to store this for future use. Well, now this isn't working. So he's on my security camera here. This one. My whole security camera is wiped. He's come over twice in the past. And this is all wiped. See this? You can't access any of these videos. They won't access any of these videos. And previously he came over, I'm not sure when it was now, but it was sometime December. I think it was December the 12th, 2024. He came over to my unit. I hadn't seen him in 2 years. And then right after I met him, I hadn't seen him in 2 years, he stood at my front door. I came outside and I spoke to him and I said, look, I'm leaving my unit now. I'll come outside and talk to you. Okay? And then I went inside to go get my keys to just pack up and get ready to leave. I turned around, and after turning around, I turned around and saw him inside my house. He just let himself into my house. I turned around and I said, just let yourself in, why don't you? I turned around and continued getting what I was getting just to be quicker to get out of the unit. Then the underneath neighbour walked into my house. The underneath neighbour that hits my walls thousands of times a day, that I've called the police on, that hadn't slept in my unit. I haven't slept in my unit because of for a year. A huge animosity, big problem there. Walks into my unit unannounced. I turn around and she is standing inside my house. And I go, get out. I just turned around and said, get out. They walked out of my house. She walked back to the unit. And then I'm like, I'm going to go get my security camera. I look at my security camera and it's doing this. It's completely wiped. And I've got documentation of this. I uploaded it to my account. The very first thing that comes on is Xavier standing outside my door. And then all the footage before that is wiped. You can't see it. You can't access it. I called the police and said, what do I do? Do I go into the police? They said, yeah, go make a report. So what happens again? My security camera is wiped. And it only goes back a month, but it went back further than that before. But it recalibrates after a month. All these are unable to view. Xavier is at my front door. And then the camera turns back on. That's exactly what happened in December 2024. He was outside the unit, and then all the footage starts. You can see he's got his mobile phone down there on the floor. The last thing that he does when he gets up is he stands up and he comes out here. He comes right up to the camera. He steps up and touches the camera, and then he walks off. That's the very last thing he does. And you'll see that. Very last thing he does. He comes over to my house. He's a mule. Satanic mule. Gets right up to the camera. Then he leaves. Then you see this. That's gross. They're putting it on me.
That'd be a bit gross. No, poor bugger. I think he's really, really. Unless when we get back, a bucket of hot water and disinfect him. Yes, well, yes. And the cat was out the back. Yes, I leave this wooden door.
That is rain. It's got nothing to do with him, but they're putting it on me like it's something.
Oh, fuck off, you stupid thing.
They never cleaned it. They never came back and cleaned it. They just said this, like this, making up this big load of crap. You can see the water leaks there every day. The water leaked there prior to Davia being there. The water leaks there every day, every time it rains. And they're going, oh, it's gross. Nope. Then they pay these cleaners. I'd lived here 2017, 2018, 2019. No cleaners. In 2019, they started paying a lady to come and sweep it. They don't do anything. They're not cleaning anything. They started paying someone to come and sweep in 2019. And they'll come randomly. Sometimes they'll come 2 weeks. Sometimes they'll come 6 months. You don't know when they're going to turn up. Just been this lady, that it started just being some lady that came. And she would come and sweep the floor. And she actually infested my front stairs and the bricks with spider webs. So she was coming to clean the front stairs. She started in 2019, at the end of 2019, and I'd been here since 2017, and no one had ever been there and done that before. This lady started coming up with it, and I kept it clean. I cleaned it down thoroughly myself. When I moved in, there was piled up pamphlets and mud all around the water heater. I cleaned it. I cleaned down the everything, the colour-bond fence thing there that's got a gate to the water heater. I CLR cleaned the concrete and the stairs, and I kept it immaculate. When I moved in, I kept my house clean. And then this person started coming up with this dirty broom, and I'm like, I don't want a dirty broom at my house anyway. But then she'd actually contaminated the bricks. So all the bricks, where you have the concrete that goes in between the bricks, that all had thousands of white spider webs, the entire concrete around the bricks. So, so I can't point it out. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, all of it is just spider webs. So I'm like, yuck. The whole wall on both sides of my unit entrance were completely 100% covered in mini spider webs, filling up the entire concrete around the bricks. And she did that in 2019. And then she would come and sweep. This was a cover-up from the deep state. That lady cleaned the downstairs neighbour's unit. The downstairs neighbour that lived there when I moved in was Cheryl, and she was a really old lady, and she would scream at me. Every time I walked down the stairs, she'd go, "Stop walking on the stairs!" I would just walk down really quietly, and she would come out and scream at me every time I walked down the stairs when I first moved in. And then she also was behind a complaint to send me an eviction warning the month I moved in for disturbing the peace, privacy and comfort of neighbours, which was an attempt to kick me out, which is racketeering, which is another thing. And she would scream all the time. She would go out the front, and she was known as somebody that screamed. And she would sit here in the car park. Behind me there's a park bench. I'm not going to bother videoing it, but there is a park bench behind me, and she would sit there every day, and she'd talk, and she would go out the front and scream. She screamed at everybody. She was just a screamer. And anyway, she moved because I proved that she was in cahoots with the housing manager. I'll just quickly get into that. I got sent the eviction warning, so I didn't do anything, and I called the housing manager after writing a letter saying I didn't do anything, I shouldn't have had an eviction warning. And then I rang the housing manager after sending the letter in, hand-delivering it a week prior. I hand-delivered it to her on my birthday on the 16th of April. Okay, that's just turned off. And then I called her up a week later in April in 2018. And then I didn't know what to do. And then I said, "Rah-de-rah." She started lying in the call. I started recording the call to her about 5 minutes into the call because she was lying. I didn't get the letter when I had hand-delivered it to her. That was just one of the many lies that she started saying. And then I started recording the call because she was getting threatening towards me and aggressive. because she just sent me an eviction warning. She's racketeering, getting money for these units, and she's racketeering. And I started recording the call. At that point, I left the video recording for 20 minutes after I'd hung up the phone because I was going to get kicked out of the unit. I was just going to be kicked out. I just moved in and I was waiting to get kicked out because they just make up something and kick you out. In fact, I was threatened the day I moved in here by Cameron Mitchell, who lived at that unit right up behind me, upstairs, that one. He lived there, unit 14, and he came up to me and he said, "We kick anyone out we don't like. All we do is get 3 people to sign a stat deck." And he came over to me. The very first night I was here, he walked up my stairs in a button-up long-sleeve shirt and acted all well-to-do. I had a friend here, Lee, and Lee committed suicide a few months later. And he threatened me, point blank. "We'll kick anyone out we don't like. All we do is get 3 people to sign a stat deck," and we kicked them out. And he said that to me the second I moved in. He walked straight up my stairs and came up to my house to introduce himself to me. And then 2 weeks after that, he said, I can't even remember the line now, but I'm in the Illuminati. My brother-in-law is a hacker for the police, and I'm a runner for the family. That was his words. So anyway, then I called up the house, and then they were all walking around saying, "We got to kick Gillian out." You could hear the underneath neighbour. She would literally just go, "You got to kick Gillian out. You've got to kick Gillian out." I could hear her walking around saying that. And in fact, an interesting point is that she also said Jason is going to move and that I should get his washing machine. He's got a clear washing machine with a clear lid, and I just purchased a washer-dryer combo for my unit, and they were trying to make me get his washing machine because she said he's going to move, and he died when the at the exact same time that the next tenant, because then Cheryl moved out. Okay, so I was recording 20 minutes after the phone call to the housing manager, and I specifically said, "Cheryl is lying about me to try to kick me out." I said that to the housing manager on record in the phone call. Then I left the phone recording for 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, there's recording thin air. You hear the underneath neighbour, Cheryl. She yells out, "Gillian!" really angrily. "I haven't spoken to you for over a month." And then I've walked up to the laptop to start recording because I thought, I knew this was such, because she stopped talking to me. She used to yell out to me, and she just stopped talking to me, 100% stopped talking to me after she got me the eviction warning, because they planned to just kick me out from that. Anybody else would have been kicked out by that. I am literally the only person in the whole world that would have been able to do what I did. I didn't get kicked out. They had planned to kick me out the month I moved in, and I've sustained that. Nobody else would have done that. I'm recording, and you hear her, and she says, "I haven't spoken to you for over a month." And this is 20 minutes after the same recording of just speaking to the housing manager and saying she's lying to kick me out. So I proved that. And then she moved out. She said, I put my name down for, it was, I think, July 2018. She's just walked up to me and she said, "I put my name down for a transfer to a retirement home. I'm getting a transfer on retirement grounds because I was told specifically I am not allowed to transfer. I will never be allowed to transfer. I'm considered housed." They were the words that the corrupt housing manager told me. "You're considered housed. You cannot transfer." So then I tried to transfer, and I wanted to get out of here so bad, and I was told I couldn't. And then so she used the narrative that they were trying to tell me that was a lie. She could only transfer because she was moving to a retirement home. And then she said I could I'm getting a transfer. It could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, I don't know. 2 weeks later, she was gone. They paid a truck. 2 weeks after she told me that a truck came, she told me she borrowed $1,000 off her daughter, and the removalists pack everything up in boxes, put it in the truck, and then move it to wherever she's going. She had a lot of knitting because she knitted, and then she was gone. She did not clean the property. She didn't do one thing. She was old. She couldn't do anything. And nobody liked her. And she had no friends. And she didn't clean. The whole property was gone, emptied by the removalists, and she didn't clean anything. That's when Mission Australia had this lady come over to her property. They would come 2-3 times a week for an hour, half an hour, whatever, and they cleaned the property for 6 months. The unit underneath me was empty for 6 months. The lady that came and cleaned it was in a full drive. The top half was white and the bottom half was blue. So it was in a straight line, not like blue and white. It was point blank, bottom blue, top white. It was full drive, big full drive. And this lady got out and she would walk into the unit underneath me, buckets, she'd clean it. That went on for 6 months. She would go there anytime, maybe 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week, maybe an hour, maybe 2, maybe half an hour, whatever. She would go there regularly and she'd clean that. That was in, like I said, July, August 2018. And then she would go all the way, till 2019. She cleaned, around then. She cleaned it July, August, September, October, November. And then when she'd cleaned the unit for Mission Australia, because she was the deep state asset, that cleaner then, after that, started showing up at my front door with a broom and sweeping my clean concrete landing. It's got air going through it, and there is no dirt there. And there'd never been a cleaner before. Then she started progressing. It was 2020. She started wearing a polo shirt saying forensic cleaning. And then she had logo written on her car. This was all a deep state cover because they were using her as a cleaner for payment for cleaning the unit underneath me. And that was all, they were trying to make it a cover to pay her because she'd just cleaned the unit underneath me. Now, like you just saw in that video, they have boys that come there. She's obviously got a business and she's moving up in the deep state, cleaning up their dirty work, like moving an asset that they just had that was uncovered as an asset. Then they put so now they've got that, like I just explained. Then they put a crackhead underneath me that had 10 people living there, her daughter's boyfriend, another female, which probably another one of her daughters, I don't know. I stayed away from them because they were meth heads. They were screaming the day they moved in, screaming as loud as you can, "You fucking dirty dog! I'll kill you! You fuck! Yeah!" I can't mimic this screaming that a meth head does. I've got the recordings on YouTube. Thousands of hours of recordings in 1 month, the month I got the security camera. They screamed 8 hours a day, every single year for the first year they lived there. They would scream for about 2 hours in the middle of the night, calling somebody a pedophile. "You pedophile! You just pedophiled my daughter!" They were running a deep state dark web abuse website, but that's another thing again. So then, she lived there screaming after Cheryl, the first one, moved out. Then now they've got, after that, 8 years of that, now they've got another meth head that lives there, and they deal meth, and they have 10 people living there, not on the lease. And the housing manager is behind it all. And here you've got security cameras right here, and here. And all the units out the back, you have to go through the car park on security camera to get to every single one of those units. There's no other entrance to those units, all under security camera. My unit, right over there, not on security camera. So they use it. They use the fact that it's not under security camera, and they deal meth out of that unit, and they've done it permanently. And they keep putting meth heads. And when I first moved in, that old lady Cheryl, people used to come over and tell me that she gets drug deals at 3 a.m. in the morning. People, when I first moved in here, I swear on my life, people told me that she is a drug dealer and she gets drug deals delivered at 3 a.m. in the morning. Cheryl told me herself that she wakes up at 3 a.m. in the morning as well. And then Cheryl said to me, people just think I'm a little old lady. They'll never suspect me. If I get caught, it won't be going 10 k's over the limit. I'll be going like 100 k's over the limit. And this is, I swear on my life, Cheryl said this to me exactly. And yeah, as you can see, the internet doesn't even work at the unit, black site, but I've just shown the whole thing, so now it's working, because that's the deep state. I showed it for 5 minutes, it didn't work. And that's what it's like every single day when I live here. I don't have any internet, and they use that so you don't have a way to get to the outside world to show what's going on when it's happening. They use it as another control. So satanic abusers like Diddy keep you under abuse all the time. You're not allowed to get out of the abuse, because that's what abusers do. Because if you're not getting abused by them, you would just naturally leave. So their idea is to keep you under abuse. You don't understand it unless you understand what's like its actual truth. They abuse you. You don't have a choice to get out of it. Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So this whole unit complex is a deep state. I've exposed it. The deep state in neon lights. This will be going on YouTube.